All right. Happy Tuesday. Is that what today is? Hope everyone had a great weekend. I had the long weekend, which was nice. Got Juneteenth off of work, which was awesome. Hey, Terrence. Happy to see you here. But whether you had a regular weekend, long weekend, short weekend, or unfortunately, if you had no weekend, welcome. We're into week 2 of the Gygax 75 challenge. This week is the surrounding area. Let me just go straight into it. I don't think I have any programming notes. Oh, I did make it over the 2,000 subscriber threshold over the weekend. So thanks very much to everyone. It's not really any kind of milestone in terms of YouTube. I don't unlock any wonderful, amazing features or anything, but it's kind of one of those little milestones for me. But that was very cool. So thanks very much. Hey, Gashrin, thanks for hopping in. That's all I got. So let's get to it. Here we go. I got a whole bunch going on in this window, so apologies for that. I will read from the Gygax 75 document to start, and then we'll get into Worldographer and beyond. This is week 2, surrounding area. Map the land around the dungeon and town. Gygax suggests, quote, sitting down with a large piece of hex ruled paper and drawing a large-scale map. A map with a scale of 1 hex equals 1 mile will be about right for player operations such as exploring, camping, adventuring, and eventually building their strongholds. Even such small things as a witch's hut and side entrances to the dungeon can be shown on the map. The central features of the map must be the major town and the dungeon entrance. Hey, P Giant. So that is our goal here. Now, how many? I have Worldographer open. I'm going to switch to in a minute, but I just was going to see Ray's his. Oops, can I use that? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Acrobat? There we go. Okay, so Ray's looks like it's 22 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 22 by 17. Is that right? So task, get a sheet of hex paper. Yeah, we're not going to get a sheet of hex paper because we have virtual hex paper. So we'll just stick with that. And then we'll generate a map and then we'll go ahead and start monkeying with it. So let's get into Worldographer. So I think we had was 22 by 17. We could probably go less than that because one of the things, I don't know if it's a quirk of Worldographer. I'm sure there are probably reasons for this. If you're in Worldographer, obviously, if you're not, it doesn't matter. But one of the neat things of Worldographer is you can have multiple zoom levels in a map so that you could have your world map with hexes of whatever size, whatever the size calculates out to that represents your whole world. And then you can zoom in and then get into bigger detail on a zoomed in piece of the map and then zoom in multiple levels. The lowest level, I think they call it province, I think. But you can't start at the province level when building a map. So if I build one that's 22 by 17, when we get down to that province level, which is probably what I'll zoom into, it's going to be much bigger than that. So actually, I think, and we'll see if this works right. If I just, I don't necessarily want to divide it by 6, because I think that you get too small. But let's do, I don't know, 7 by 5. Let's see how we get. We might have to do this a couple of times. Yes, I probably should have prefigured this out in advance, but what are you going to do? So this is our kingdom level, which looks horribly small, but then if there it is province. So I zoom into province, do 6 miles per hex, we get this. Now, the one thing is I probably need to, I think I remember monkey, we get some weirdness there. I don't know if there's some minimum levels. Let's try this again. Let's do 12 by 7. Maybe we won't get something quite so funky. And now we'll zoom into province level. Wouldn't it be funny if our whole session was zooming in? Did I get that? There we go. Okay, this looks okay. Not quite so funky. So we have probably more. We do have more than we need, but the things are lined up correctly. Brian Smith, I did indeed hit the 2K T2K. Yeah. Thanks everybody. I did get there. again, YouTube doesn't send me anything. It doesn't really do much. It's just one of those things I can say, hey, I hit that. It's, yeah, you try to set these personal goals for yourself that probably really aren't meaningful, but you try to do it because why not? So that was kind of something I'd set up for myself. So it was kind of nice to hit it. Ultimately, does it really mean much? No, but you gotta it's like those little wins, right? People say D&D is not a game. Well, YouTube's not a game either, but you find these little win spots. Hey, we beat one level of the dungeon, so we won that little thing, and then in our case, yeah, we got over 2,000. A little win for us. Let's see. Pick a frog leg. It does look like that in the big window. So I'm just gonna okay. So first things first. So I'm just gonna find some terrain here. I was trying to think if I should come up with some kind of funny thing to do. Now clearly we went through a Chicago Wiz's method, right, which is 3 hexes and you're done. Well, Gygax, the concept of the Gygax 75 challenge is definitely not that. I'm not gonna try to fill up this whole space, but we'll get ourselves a nice area. I guess we could do terrain first. I'm not going to pick anything particularly outrageous. I'm going to put, let me see, even though I'm just going to put, I'll just put a farmland. This will just mark. Did I do that right? I don't want a paint bucket. Oh, whoops. Whoa. I don't know if Worldographer's doing something goofy or if it's me. All right, let's see about, where's the eraser? That's too much. Or I guess we can work with that. I'm still gonna put my town in. I wonder if it's because we're still, I don't know. That's interesting. So if I go ahead, let's see what's happening here. If I go ahead and no. Do I need to zoom? Is it zooming out? Was is happening? No. No, I don't know. I'm not sure why it's doing all these in blocks. Does somebody know why my worldographer is not operating like it normally does? I don't know. We're just going to try to get something done. We'll see what happens. I can always switch to something else if for some reason it's just acting funky today, but it's not really my intention. I'm just sticking stuff in that middle. I mean, that works all right. That works all right. I don't know. I don't know, folks. Have I commanded to enhance? Yes. Enhance. Enhance. All right, let's just make sure we're staying on target. Okay, so we got our virtual hex paper, though it's acting fiddly on us. We're going to do one settlement of significant size, 2 other settlements, camps are smaller, 1 major terrain feature, 1 mysterious site to explore, 1 main dungeon entrance. So let me just, whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's throw some other things in here. Wetlands, we'll just do throw some swamp. I'm just going to throw some basic stuff in here. I don't need steppe necessarily. Grazing land, grassland. I got forest. That's more farmland. This is weird the way it's clipping in here like this. Very strange. It's doing everything in blocks. I don't know why. I don't know why, but if it keeps doing this, I want to switch because I don't want to just waste time monkeying around with something that doesn't want to be monkeyed with. I wonder if I save it and then quit, it'll come back. All right, and then I wanted some swamps. No. No, that didn't take. Damn you. Let's try that. No, that didn't take. Let's try. Let me. Weird. Save as. Let's see. Go up, and we'll just call this. It's not really the right place, but we'll just call this a Gygax 75. Now, if I close this, maybe this will. Let's see if that fixed whatever it was that was happening. Terrain. Everything's just acting funky. I just want my classics. All right, so let's see now if I try to get myself some forest wetlands, let's say right in there. No. Weird. Weird. This is not like it's a huge map, so it shouldn't be giving me kind of problems. Usually I don't get kind of weird issues with, I guess, saying I got kind of memory. I wonder if I need to run some other kind of memory thing here. What is going on with you? Also, don't need to have that in the way. Stranger and stranger. Well, it's Monday night on the stream, so of course, what can go wrong? Everything. Speed up. Okay, let's see if anything there happened to. No. Nothing. Let me exit it and come back. Save. Exit entirely. Pornographer. And if this doesn't work, then we'll go into Hexed or something else, because this shouldn't be the bigger hurdle. They shouldn't be to get the hex thing to draw the hexes. This should be the easy part. Like, having these apps should be a boon to us. I didn't have any notes. I didn't have any notes, pal. All right, here we go. Last chance, hexographer. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Do. Here we go. What are you doing? Why? It says there's an update available. It just keeps filling things in squares. All right, let's get a hex kit going. We got to call in the backup. Where is hex kit? Oh, I got to find hex kit. There you go. Calling in the backup. You're going to open. Yeah, that's the thing, Terrence. Sometimes you got to go ahead. See, I mocked the needing some hex paper, and Gygax heard. Oh, now I got two things of hex kit running. There we go. Okay. I should not have mocked pencil and paper. All right, here we go. So this is, I guess, is okay. So I'm just going to manage with this. That's the nice thing, at least, about having backups. So I'm not going to go with the full 22 by 17. I'm just going to go with this, which is good for me. Gygax doesn't, nobody specifies exactly how big these things have to be. We'll go to Fantasyland. Let's put a little farmland in there. Great. Forest. Let's put some forest. Call that great. Some grass. Great. Some hills. great. We'll put some, there we go. I'll throw another, got some, so we got some mountains, we got some hills, we got some farmland, town. I'm going to put probably right about there. We got some grassland, could be some grazing. We've got some forest over here. I wanted some swamps, so gosh darn it, I'm going to get some swamps. What kind of swamps are in here? I don't know if I want plain purple though. All right, I'll just go with it. We'll put some swamp over there. Sure, some, I don't know what makes meadow different from grass. I wonder. Maybe I'll put meadow here. And then we'll put, where did I see grasslands before? Oh, there it is. Whoops. There, and what else? Is there anything? I'll put the town on another level. Don't need any mushrooms. Muddy bog. Sure, let's throw some muddy bog in there. We'll put in some river in a minute. Let's see. I think the big thing, my takeaway here is I'm really just kind of babbling on about nothing. Is one of the things I would say with your hex map is don't get too caught up in it. You just want to get something out here. You can see I'm riffing, and it'll be, you know, I'll have, I don't know, another minute or two, and I may finagle back and forth, but I'll have my map, which is really all that you want. You don't need to get super intense about it. Don't worry about really, you know, anything, don't, you know, what is that? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're gonna right, so just grab a bag of terrain. Yeah, you just want to grab some bits and throw it out there. I'm kind of keeping it into your basically temperate. I'm just assuming it's easiest for me to use what I'm used to. So I'm using basically your temperate biome. So you're in mostly North America. I'm in the Northeast of the US. So it's kind of what I see around me and what I think about sort of habitats around me. If I was doing something in the desert or in the Arctic or in the jungle or somewhere that was, or in say tropical zone, I might want to find some reference. At this point, I don't care too much about that. Put some more hills in there. And maybe, let's see, some more grasses. We'll put some grasses out here. So the one thing, unfortunately, not unfortunate, but one of the things with HexKit is, look, to its benefit, at least a lot of the built-in, I know you can buy different icon styles, and they have, some folks have made some simpler icon styles. The one thing, the HexKit, at least by default, the non-black and white versions, they're kind of busy. There's a lot going on, and it's not quite as easy to interpret. Maybe you have to, or maybe I would say this, you have to really think about it a little bit more. You can see some of these things, and I know this is kind of some kind of boggy area because I threw it in there, but if I didn't, or I left this and I came back to it next week, I might be squinting at that brown muck and going, what is that? What was that supposed to be again? Okay, swamps are purple. Okay, because it kind of makes sense. Okay, it's purple. All right, it's interesting. You know, grasses I think are obviously easy. This meadow with the shadows of trees, kind of makes most sense, but you know, those kind of run together, but they're functionally, they're essentially, if I just put grass in there, would have been fine. I just like to think of the meadow that maybe this is something that is used land by the people who live in the town that I'm going to put here. So if we look at the town, and there's maybe more hamlets around here, something, this is kind of the breadbasket. I think I'm going to throw a river running somewhere through here into the swamps, or at least next to the swamps, maybe through the swamps like that. And then we're going to, you know, call it a day. The things I like to look for in terms of what do I want in my terrains, I like to have some kind of variety. in the terrain. You could see this and say, well, it's all trees. Okay. And if you're doing that, that's great. But probably I would want to figure out, well, how can I differentiate between these forests? So yeah, I'd want to have forest hills. And in fact, I probably should go in with these hills because some of the things I've come around, like hills aren't really their own terrain. And if you end up looking at things, you end up wanting to see things kind of real world. You're trying to look at things. Hills aren't really their own biome. They're just elevation changes. So these would be some combination of wooded hills and grassy hills, and I would have used those icons in Worldographer if I'd gotten that far. But we can just consider it. These are not all bare hills. And I always like to think of hills being before mountains because I think of foothills as your kind of rising elevation. So I always try to surround my mountains with hills. So those are a couple of things. I also like to think of basically little regions. So here we're going to have, let's say, this region here, which is the region of this, whatever this town, maybe it's a duchy, a principality, whatever it is, depending on how big we want to make these hexes. If these are 1 mile hexes, we might say, okay, this is really small. It's just maybe a freehold of some kind, or there's a road that's going to be running through these hills somewhere that, or maybe around the outside, we might say the road kind of comes around like that. That would be to other parts of whatever the greater culture that these all belong to, the greater society, the greater organizations all belong to. And then if there were other things, I could easily find out, okay, the forest, we as easily as this region right here. Here we have this swampy region. Here we have this grasslands. And then I might look for where are the borders. If we have the river would be a good border between the settled by whomever lives in the town area, and that's a nice border. The hills and the mountains are another nice border. Why aren't things just crushing this village from all sides? Well, maybe the stuff that lives in the swamp doesn't venture through the forest. The forest is, I would call it maybe a soft border. If we have kind of hard borders, think of mountains, think of the Alps, it's kind of a hard border, these tall mountain peaks. It's tough to get through. You really need to have a will to push through them. There's dangerous, the Alps' case, back in Roman days, there were dangerous independent tribes that lived up there that just made it difficult on top of all the environmental things. Just made it really tough. But at the same time, it was this great border. They could basically kind of just say, all right, the Alps are on lockdown, of course, until they weren't. But it took somebody with a lot of willpower and determination to go and mount something through the Alps. So same here. So if we're looking at, well, how does this whatever we have here, how does the stuff that's going to maybe be in the dungeon or wherever we're going to put that, how do those nasty creatures just roll across the map and just destroy the town and feast on their bones? Well, there's a river there that's a natural break for them. Again, it could be some things you might have, let's say maybe they're lizard folk that live in the swamp, but they need to stay wet. Maybe they're bullywugs or some kind of amphibioids, and they like to stay wet, and the forest doesn't really help them, so they kind of stay out of there. They don't like to go through it. It's not friendly to them, so they stay out. Stuff from the forests stays out of the swamps for the most part because they know it's dangerous. And then there are other things in the grasslands over here that would be dangerous, but then they don't like to cross the river. So we could think about what I'm trying to get at is you come up with these different regions and you can group things together. And then I try to build them so hopefully it makes sense why stuff from one region isn't necessarily just constantly attacking, creating incursions into the other areas. These kind of natural borders. Rivers are great. Hills, forests, if they're thick enough, are good. Just in terms of animals, certain animals just won't go in the forest because they live out in the plains. So they stay out in the plains. Other things, it's just a barrier, if only visually. Maybe that whatever lizard folk live in the swamp just never have gone through the forest. They've never been interested, so they never really come through. So they don't know what's over there, so they just leave it alone. Let's see, we got some stuff in the chat here. Terrence calls that brown area the Chocolate Falls next to the Candy Cane Forest. Yes, if this were Willy Wonka's domain, it would absolutely be a Chocolate Falls. P. Giant says, tools are there to help. If they end up hindering, throw them out straight away. Yes. So if there was one lesson about the 10 minutes I probably spent horrible streaming going through Worldographer, it's like, hey, Worldographer starts to mess up. There's only so long I'm going to give it before I go on to the next tool. They should help you. And also in terms of what the tools are offering. Use what they give you. Don't use what they want. Just because they give you something doesn't mean you have to use it. Use it to do what you want to do. And remember, yeah. And then it's the same thing for rules, right? We are the master of the rules. The rules are not the master of us. Brian Smith, you can put unsharpened colored pencils in a glass to get a circle of hexes, just assign colors to terrain type. I don't know why anybody would do that, but you could. Yeah, I think you could do a lot with just colors. You're basically going from it's dry, wet, and temperature, right? So we're staying in this temperate biome, so we don't have to worry about tracking temperature, altitude affecting temperature in some ways, but really you could just go from purple, let's just say purple or blue, purple, I don't know, you'd figure out some color scheme, maybe for blue for water, and then into kind of greens, and then maybe if you want to go browns for altitude, yeah, you totally don't even need the symbology so much. But of course, it's just whatever triggers your eye. And the symbols are nice because I think it takes less, at least for me, to interpret the symbol for swamp than it is for me to remember what purple means, or these gradations of green might not be meaningful to me. P. Giant says the purpose of a place is the most important thing to think of in their opinion. As their English, it's fun to take cues from pub names. Oh, you must have a lot of awesome pub names. I wish there was more of a. I always wish there was more of certain cultures here in the States, and pub culture is definitely one. I also like kind of cafe culture from French and French adjacent places, and Italy, I guess romance. Is it all like the romance kind of countries that have sort of cafe culture? I don't know, but it's another thing I wish they had better. Here you have coffee shops, but they're more about food, and you have places like Starbucks that aren't. It's not really the same as kind of really just kind of hanging out at a cafe. I don't know. This is blood orange Trader Joe's seltzer water for the working man. Brian Smith says they did a wet/dry, high/low, populated/wild as 1 to 6 sliders and dropped D6s all over the place to get a sketch of my region. Oh, cool. Brian Smith, did it work well for you? I'd be curious to see the output. All right, so we've got our basic geography, but let's see. We were tasked with specifically one settlement of particular size and 2 other settlements smaller sizes. All right, so let's get that done first. So I'm making a new layer. Let's call it settlements. So in Hexkit, there's a different set of layers than it's not the same as layers in Hexographer, whereas Hexographer has layers like this does, has layers of zoom, I talked about earlier. It also has layers of when you're putting different symbols, you can layer them on top of each other, and then you can isolate layers, you can make layers invisible, different things like that. Hexkit has something similar. Everything right now is on the base layer, so if I make the base layer hidden, everything's gone. Here it is again. You just have to be careful to remember what layer you're on when you're placing stuff. Hexographer does it for you. Worldographer, if you select a town and you place a town in your map, it puts it on the town layers for you. Hexkit does not. So Hexkit, if I accidentally go to the base layer, and hopefully I won't leave it there, and then I go put a town and put it in there, it's going to be on the base layer. So you kind of have to be on the ball. I don't think there's a way of locking it. Unfortunately, I don't think I can lock it. So I just got to remember. So now I'm on the settlements layer. So this should make it so that if I can go put settlements here, and then if I want to hide stuff, I can. Oh, and Brian Smith's going to send me his town. Awesome. All right. So first we want a town. I think per the Gygax thing, we're going to use a fairly significant town. That looks like a fairly significant town. So we'll put it there. There's our town. Now we want 2 smaller towns. Let's see. So let's put what makes sense. We'll put some kind of watchtower type. I like watchtowers. Maybe a castle. What's a good castle icon? Maybe that one. Let's see. I think it might make sense here. Presuming that this has a nice view, right? You think of a castle. Let's just say Gygax challenge is talking about 1 mile hexes, even if we're 3 or 6 miles. You're on horseback. This is open ground. Presuming there's a road here, you can easily get horseback. You can rush down from the mountain. You've also got that view over the surrounding landscape. If we're presuming the road maybe comes through somewhere like this, we'll put the river down and we'll figure out the road. Then I think that makes sense in terms of that. And then maybe we don't have, we could get kind of a smaller town. Let's see, do we have a smaller town? We have a big, that's a big town. So let's say we'll put a smaller town over there. So there we got 3 settlements. I'm on the settlements layer. So now I can hide those. They're gone and they're there. I think that will work. All right, 1 settlement. You could check that off. 2 other settlements. Check, check. 1 major terrain feature. We have a few of those. We got to do mysterious sites and dungeon entrances. I also want to do water and whatnot. So we'll do that. Do that now. So I'll do water. I'm just going to do a couple, just create a couple of these layers now. Water, roads, and then what did they call those? Mysteries? Sure, I'll call them mysteries. Mysteries. Water, probably move it below. I don't know if water should be below settlements or not. Yeah, I'll put it below. Bloop. P Giant says naming them. I'll get to the names. I'm just gonna get them down first. We'll figure out the names. I'm not. The names. I'm less. I feel like I'm less requiring. I feel like I can wait to fiddle faddle with names more. I can leave that for later. I don't think it's a huge deal. But if you got names, P Giant, what? Give us some. You got some. You were talking big about pub names. Give us some pub names. Oh, you know what? I kind of goofed. I think I want to change something. So if I can remember how to do this, I'm gonna move that. Go back. I'm not necessarily that. Well, shoot. Now I'm starting to rethink my rethink. I was thinking to have the river go that way, but I think the river should go by the mountains. So let's never mind. We're gonna go back. Where was our little town? Put the town there. Now we'll go to rivers. Where's our rivers? Make sure we're on water. This can get a little bit funky because you gotta maneuver some of these around to get the right angles that you want for your river. So we'll go. No. Already, that's not what I want. Not that. I need. No. Maybe this one, would that work? Now there's a rotator. Maybe like that. Ryan Smith landed into a bar in Michigan called Bucksnort. Sure, why not? Bucksnort. Interesting. And we get. Does that work? And then we need. Oh, what are we doing here? Something like that. Let's see. Rotate. Yeah, look at that. And we're rotating. Like that. Oh, Terrence already stole Bucksnort. Put that on your master list. Well, you know, look at this. What a horrible set of icons. We got splitting rivers, folks. We have splitting rivers. Okay, they could also be joining rivers. I acknowledge that. But giving this sort of tool where someone could make a river that splits, the outrage, the sheer audacity. No, I don't want that. Yes, I want that. And then there we go. So now a river runs through it, to coin a phrase that's never been heard of before. Got a river, starts in the mountains, meanders around, meanders down through the swamps and out. And of course, it's all on one layer, so we can add it or remove it. I don't know why we'd want to remove it, but oh, the soggy log. Nice. P Giant, what's your major town that's by a meander in the river? Is it called Meander? Inquiring minds want to know. So we got a river. Excellent. Shall we put our road in there? Do we have roads? Meadows, rivers. I know I have Fantasyland 2. Does that have wastelands? We have farmlands. Blanks. No, that's not it. Do I not have roads? Well, it's not a big deal if I don't, because I can imagine it, but I thought for sure we did. It's not under icons, is it? It does not appear to be. Am I missing something? Tiles. Are there roads? Cliffs? Coasts? Utilities? Here we go. Okay. I will put in some roads here. I don't have a bridge. Okay. There we go. So we got that. Coming across. Actually, that's same one. We're just, there we go. Is that one also? All right, so we got a nice little road, and we could probably, who knows? Maybe this is. Terrence says somebody's meander. Oh, Windborn. Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm using Windborn. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so let's save this as awesome.map. No, but it's Gygax 75.map. I like Windborn. That'll be that castle. Castle will be Windborn. That's good. All right, so how do we feel about this, folks? Look okay to you? I be giant at putting the is it with the Y or is it with the I? I mean, either one is good. This one feels like one should be a luxury hotel. Wind with a Y. Windborn. Windborn Manor. Okay, so we have oh, you know what? I totally forgot. We gotta before we leave this, we gotta put in our mysteries. Let's go back. All right, we need, let's see, how many mysteries? One mysterious site and one dungeon entrance. One mysterious site, one dungeon entrance. Mysterious site. I think it's going to be in icons. I think I definitely want in the swamps. It's always nice to have something in the swamps. Oh, I like that. I'm not exactly sure what this is yet, but we're putting that in there. Some kind of Wicker Man like statue. I'm digging that. And then let's put that. It covers up the whole thing though. There one that's a bit smaller. I just want a smaller icon. Oh, I'm just so big. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Well, I guess we can't miss it. What's the Brian Smith says? Can the bridge be a mysterious site? Like if you walk on the underneath, it connects you to some magic village or something wacky? I mean, yeah, sure. It doesn't necessarily have to be wacky, but yeah, yep, absolutely. I mean, yeah, anything. I mean, I think mysterious just means that there's something unusual about it, right? It doesn't have to be of a certain kind. Um, certainly, and I think one thing that's good is if we have some dungeon here. What is this? We could, that's something that as you go on, you want to, well, think about, okay, so we have a dungeon here, and here we're using dungeon in a very, right, generic sense. It's just a place, subterranean, usually with a bunch of stuff happening in there, but we don't know what the place is. And if it was, oh, this is the ancient home of Bloobdy-Bloob, well, then we probably want to put some things around here. Maybe we could put, we'll put a tower or some other kind of ruined. Where was the ruined tower? We'll put it there. Or actually, no. No, let's put it here. It's kind of interesting. We have the river runs through it. Maybe there is an old fording spot here or an old broken down bridge. We don't have an icon for a bridge necessarily. Terrence says something wacky. Ye old Charles E. Cheese, Esquire. Brian Smith says this is the setting ruled formerly by lizardmen, right? Yep, this is right. That is correct. That doesn't necessarily mean that the dungeon has to be lizardmen. And I know we had talked about like amphibians and bullywug types, and that could be down here. But yes. Oh, did I rotate that by accident? I think I did. Let me fix that. But yeah. And who's town, who's here? Because we talked about stone. Maybe it even makes more sense that actually now that we're thinking about it, maybe having that settlement out here in the open makes less sense than having it say over here. Well, we'll leave it here for now. We'll leave it here. But yes. Brian Smith says a hidden casino run by Ratman. Oh yeah, from the Chuck E. Cheese reference. Terrence says I cast rock of fire's explosion. Maybe, maybe not. And of course, this might be. This doesn't even have to be a human settlement. Maybe the humans are back here, and these are other things. We'll have to. These are all questions we'll have to answer. Questions we shall have to answer. Or maybe I suppose we could answer them now. Well, let's just. So we might move this town, depending on what we figure out is there. We've got something down here in the swamps, which is good. We've got something out here. We got all the things I think we're supposed to have. And yeah, we can look at it in terms of, let's move this over here, move here. Going back to our concept, Fall of the Roman Empire, the movie The Eagle, Reign of Fire, Fallout, the Iliad, Conan the Barbarian, Journey to the Center of the Earth, early medieval style world, the worlds recovering from the fall of the Great Lizardman Empire and death of their god king, dragons are gods of the lizardmen. We remember at the time of the fall, the most numerous species were various lizard men, but something happened to them. We're not sure exactly how brutal it was. And then people were kind of driven underground for the most part. So maybe, so there are a couple ways we can take that. Why is there we go? Is either we're at a point where the humans have founded a space, or maybe it makes more sense that they stick to the hills. Run to the hills. They might need to farm. I mean, it definitely makes sense that they would need to farming, but maybe the hills are more appropriate. We can move them. And we'll actually move them. We'll put them. We'll put them. Let's put them there instead. We'll change up these roads a bit. Erase that road. Where did we find roads? Roads wasn't classic. It's easier for me to see it when it's over here. Was it utilities, roads? Would this work? If I rotate it? No. But this might work. Do I have a three-way cut like that? No, I only have those. No, that doesn't work. So basically, I don't know, we could probably put some, we can just assume there are kind of maybe some things there. Brian Smith says the settlement out in the open is cool, like a real risky thing to try to get there if a dragon could strafe you on the approach. Yeah, I mean, the only concern there for me is it's not just living there, it's actually building the thing. And maybe maybe they're not ready to, because remember, you have to, before you can live in it and thumb your nose at the dragon, you actually have to build it. And if the dragons are still in play, then maybe the building part is tough. We can think about what this is, but maybe it's hidden somewhere. Maybe we actually move that into the hills also. Keep things consistent. I mean, it's a pretty cool wrinkle that instead of avoiding the hills, you're actually sticking to them. I don't know what that is. It's a little bit too. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but let's just put it there. Farming underground with panels above made it look like rock, but movable, thrown back into place the dragons came by. That might be a little bit. We'll have to figure out at some point what kind of technology, combat technology, or anti-dragon technology has come about. That feels very much like Reign of Fire, where they had, I think, tarps or other kinds of camouflage. I don't know if this kind of fantasy medieval, remember Fall of the Roman Empire era folks have got all that stuff covered. So I don't know if they're able to do that or not. We shall see. Who knows? So we could save that. We will export our map. We're doing digital GM facing. It doesn't matter in terms of the GM facing since we don't have any. I think you could put some GM only notes in there. I haven't really messed around with that aspect of Hexkit, so I'm not sure. Move that over here. I'm not sure how that comes into play, but you've got it. Okay, I'm just looking for the map. Here it is. There it is. Let's see. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. Can I just... Yeah, we're just gonna zoom out, and I think I can just drag and drop this in. There we go. And we'll put this in green. We're gonna call this week 2. Check. All right. I can make this map bigger, of course. Okay. Or Sleep Brian says, or build blinds along the ground. They could open close to catch the sun at the right angles. Boy, it's like a reverse dune. Instead of water catches, we've got sunlight catches. I mean, that stuff seems just really complicated. I suppose, depending on how long they've been doing this, and again, their advancement level, I haven't tended to think of them as being that advanced, but maybe they were. I mean, there's a lot of different ways we could take it. And of course, folks are free to take this stuff and wheel and deal it and create their own things out of here. So let's see. We've got that. I like Windborn. Windborn Mantle is the castle. Let's see. Oh, they have 23 by 14. All right, pimp our map. Well, we don't need to worry. That's extra credit. I think our map's already kind of pimped as it stands. They have Tamuria. That's Ray's example. So I guess in just the remaining, we just have a few minutes left. So we got Windborn Castle, which is the Windborn Manor. Oops. I like to use the title for the card. This is the major local stronghold. And then we've got one over here. And we have one over here. Anyone got good names for swamps or anything? So we need some if anyone's got some inspiration for some of these areas, I'm just creating some boxes for different things. So we got Windborn Manor, which is the major local stronghold. We've got the town. We got the primary town. We also have the secondary town. And then I guess I can just leave that there. Then we've also got the dungeon. And we've got the dungeon. We have the mysterious site. I'm just going to put in the swamp. The Great Quag for the swamp. I like that. I like that. Let's do that. The Great Quag. I'm guessing you mean the swamp. It is three swamp tiles. Yep. We can nest that. So now those are together. The Buzzing Fens. I like the idea for the. Do you mean Brian Smith? Are you telling that for that particular site, or is that another name? I think the Great Quag for the swamp is good. Is good for me. Let's see, and then I'm just going to move this. Whoops, move that over here. This is the. Yeah, this specifically is I think was listed as a bog, but I'm fine with it being part of the Great Quag. We do need a mysterious site name for the swamp, and again, we don't have to necessarily come up with these now. It's not a huge deal. We can always add in the names later. The most important, I think, is that hey, we've got them down. We've got them marked. We've got it figured. Oh yeah, and I wanted to mark out that the mysterious site. That's the mysterious site. That's the tower. I definitely want to say that this is of. Oh, whoops! I forgot to. Yeah, I put that in the wrong spot. This is definitely of Lizard Man. Design construction. Yeah, I would definitely say the Great Quag would apply to less. And there could be more swamp off. Remember, this is just a little area map. We can always add more swamp in there. This one, I'm wondering. I mean, it could be called that the Buzzing Fens. I'm just wondering about. It's got this feature, some kind of Wicker Man-ish giant humanoid statue. So I was trying to think of something that maybe speaks to that a little bit. If people ran across it and they saw that, what would they call it? Let's see. What's shoot. All right, I'm just gonna call this the Mire Man. There we go. It has been named. It is the Mire Man, which I kind of like because you have Quagmire, you get mired, some statue there. Who knows how deep sunk into the swamp? It's the Mire Man, and let's say this is of amphibioid. Amphibioid construction, or belongs to the amphibioids. Probably come up with something better now. Ankle breaks. All right, I like it. And let's see. We'll say we're kind of at one end of it, so we're at the. We'll just call it the ankle breaks. We could. We'll assume we're maybe at the northeast. If we have to break it out, maybe we could say we're at the northeastern end of the ankle breaks. So we got ankle breaks. We got the Mire Man with the great that's inside, the Great Quag. We still need a. And not everything has to have a funky name. I mean, the tower, it could just be a tower. Watchtower. This is the Watchtower of Amun-Sul. We will rest here tonight. Let's call it Ruined. I think sometimes you can go overboard with giving everything like really cool, crazy names. But sometimes they don't have, it's just a thing. Nothing's happened. Nothing terrible or whatever's happened there yet. It's just ominous. And then we need the towns. We've got Windborne Manor. We've got, let's see. We got something over here. That's the secondary town, and then the primary town. Brian says it's definitely a boogeyman legend around that thing for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Pete Giant says maybe also known colloquially as Big Gan. Sure. AKA Big began. the average valley. Not too steep, not too shallow, not too deep. Yeah, it's average. It's all around average. See the towns. We could probably figure out town names. Uh, Shade Hill Township. All right, we'll call that, yeah, Shade Hill. Sure, we'll do that for the secondary town. I only say the secondary town because just the way you, Terrence, you said Shade Hill with township made it seem like it's small. Theoretically, the way that the challenge lays this out, this should be more of a major town. So maybe we give it kind of a more of a beefier sounding name, whatever that is. I don't know. I'll call it Stonegate. How's that? That's all right. And I'll just put notes here. Human. 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 Because the place might be known as Shade Hill, and then maybe what's the you know, like the actual hill is Shade Hill, and then Shadton can be the name of the town. The town that's on Shade Hill. All right, I think so. The only thing we don't have is we don't have a dungeon name. I guess maybe it might help if we think about what might be in that dungeon. Maybe there was a human settlement used to be here, and it was the, you know, ancient battles, abandoned sort of a Moria type place. Or it was it could be, you know, also like Moria sort of mines or something else. Maybe, you know, we could think about what might have been down there. What might have been down there that caused the place to no longer be used in whatever way. This is pretty much the last thing I think, or unless we want to come up with a river name, that might be the other thing. That might be, so we got just those two things left. Put that down here for right now. Just got the river and the dungeon. The super happy Fungin. Do not taunt super happy Fungin. Yes, exactly. Do not taunt super happy Fungin. Yeah, I wonder. It's interesting. What? Can't think about, you know, because I guess in this case I'm doing something that oftentimes we don't necessarily think about for good reason. Is why the heck this dungeon is here. I mean, something like Thracia, it could be, you know, forgotten civilizations that have just been dropped deep into the earth and then kind of forgotten over time. Or are we talking about a Moria situation where it used to be some kind of mine or other sort of working place? Or what? I mean, we have some interesting things here with the fact that the dragon gods do not like underground spaces, and here we have this underground space. Maybe there's something else down there. I mean, dragons don't have to be the only powerful things in the planet. Obviously in D&D, you know, not to mention our own imaginations, tons of powerful creatures who could have been awoken, flex their muscles at some point, and the dragons couldn't get into there. Maybe because of or even could be very recent phenomena because of what's happened with the downfall of the lizard man god king that caused all these issues that the dragons cannot deal with it, and the lizard men are no longer able to deal with it because we don't even, not even sure what's happened to them yet, how many are even still with us. So all kinds of things. Yeah, Pete Giant says, you know, mining for precious ore awoke unholy forces in the depths, right? Where have we heard that before? But it's a good one. You know, the Balrog in Moria is a cool idea that I would have concept that I would have no problem riffing on, and of course tons of people had. In terms of the names, I'm gonna call it. This is another riff on Tolkien, but I think call it the Glittering Depths. I want to say that there was if you read the Silmarillion, I think in the First Age, I think there's something called it was like what, Menegroth or something was known as the Glittering Caves because it had all kinds of beautiful stuff going on there. So the idea that there might be something that's beautiful, maybe powerful, would definitely call people to it, and then we don't have to figure out what's down there yet, but something that maybe is something beautiful, but also has a little bit of danger, some beauty wrapped in danger. Brian Smith says, whatever's in the mine or / dungeon can tie into some weapon or resource to fight the dragon, spurring the fight back to the surface. Could be, or it could just be beautiful stuff. But yeah, absolutely. And then the river. I'm just going to call it the breakwater. It's coming down from the breaks. The river is the breakwater. The breakwater rolls down from the ankle breaks through the great quag into parts unknown. Right, so I was looking up a list of actual deep cave names. Sinkhole could be one. We'll change. I'll change that. I'll go with Glittering Sink. How's that? Oh, there we go. So I think we got a good start here. And seeing as I'm past the top of the hour, I think we'll have to deal here. So we went from basically nothing through something going on with Worldographer. Apologies for that. I'm not sure what went wrong. Nothing. Hey, nothing says the Snake River, the Black River. Locals would call it the Cut because it cuts through the hills. I like the Cut. AKA the Cut. Sure. But we got, I think, a pretty good map here to start us off. We've got some, like I said, we got some, I think, some regions that I like. We've got a swamp region over here, some forests, some grasslands, some more forests, some hills, mountains, keeping to our concept of humanity and potentially other races as well, having been limited to the mountains, to the Sanctuary of Stone during the reign of the Lizard Folk Empire that's fallen now. There's a ruined tower that is associated with the lizard men, this cave, which may have been associated with them, but we're calling the Glittering Sink, and potentially who knows what's down there. I will write in the note from Brian Smith about might contain a powerful resource? Question mark. And we got some stronghold, which we're calling Windborne Manor. The primary town over here is called Stonegate. Over here we have Shadton or Shade Hill Town, depending on maybe the locals, the nobility or whatever, the call it Shade Hill Town, but Shadton is what it goes by more colloquially. We have a road connecting these things together, some farmland. Maybe they got to farm it at odd hours and then get back into the hills before other things come out and get them. We got this interesting, the Mire Man, aka Big Gan, down there in the corner. Brian Smith says now that's 2K time to monetize. Yeah, I'm already monetized, Brian Smith, but believe me when I tell you that it's not all it's cracked up to be. Or rather, when I get a check for a couple of bucks from YouTube after 4 months, I suppose it's better than not getting a check after 4 months, but it ain't all wine and roses yet on the monetize end. Sure, it's nice. It's the beginning. Maybe we're reaching the end of the beginning. Hopefully not the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning of all that stuff. But this was week 2. Hope folks got good use out of it. If you give this a thumbs up on your way out, that would be awesome. But yeah, so we got our surrounding area. So we'll have, and I will, I should have done that. We kind of did it halfway through where I sort of went back to go over what we did in week 1, but now we got week 1 and week 2 in the books. If you are a channel member, and I think I also posted it to patrons on Patreon, you can get links so you can come in and see the actual sheet here at your leisure. Otherwise, I will post what we came up with in more compact form on my forums, forums.hexed.press. You can check it out there. And then we'll be back next week for week 3. Not sure what I will do the rest of this week, but I got lots of stuff. Just a matter of figuring out what to do of a number. So that's good. Always good to have things on the docket. But folks, have a great rest of your day or night whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, and I'll talk to you later.